All right, Joel Klatt joining us, the voice of college football on this network. This is what's interesting to me. And so Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen played each other in college football this year.
And one had a better game than the other.
And Rosen had the better game than Darnold to most observers. And I remember waking up the next morning, and everything I read was, well, you got to take Rosen over Darnold. They haven't played many games beyond that.
No.
And now there's nobody that thinks that. What's happening?
I mean, candidly, Rosen gets in his own way a little bit. People generally don't like it when they feel like their sports stars have other interests outside of that sport. They don't like it. It doesn't fit like nice and tidy in that box, right? They don't like it that Josh is well schooled in other things. He's good academically. He has come across at times like football's not his number one priority. Right. People are uncomfortable with that, and I think that narrative perpetuates to the point where people just automatically write him off a little bit and say, well, he can't be the number one guy, because he's not really the guy that it matters. He's not Tom Brady. He's not going to give up his life for football.
By the way, I've heard Josh Allen at Wyoming could go on, Darnold could go on, Baker could go on. Here's the only guy that never gets mentioned.
You know what's interesting about that? Colin, to your point, you go around Indianapolis, and I talked with a lot of guys, right? And all of them had different number one guys, the one that they liked. Well, I love Allen. I love Darnold. I love Mayfield. All of them are different, right? The only consensus among everybody in Indianapolis was the number 2 quarterback, Josh Rosen. Regardless of who you had at 1, Josh Rosen was number 2, almost to a man, which tells me this. If I was betting my mortgage about just one of the quarterbacks getting selected in the top 5, it would be Josh Rosen. He's the only one that I'm confident it's going to get selected up there because everybody has a different number 1. So someone gets selected up there at number 1, whether it's Allen to Cleveland, Darnold to Cleveland. Heck, maybe it's Mayfield to Cleveland. And then what happens? Everybody's number 2 quarterback, the solid number 2, they think, we got to go get him. He's going to get selected from 2 to 4, probably via a trade. Josh Rosen, I think, is the only surefire top 5 quarterback in the draft. I think that's fascinating for a guy that nobody's talking about as number 1.
What is the difference? I asked Kristine about this earlier because she's single, and then she, I would imagine, being single, would date. And
she has time to read the CBA.
CBA. Of course, the Larry Bird exception.
That is fascinating.
No, what is the difference between arrogant and confident? Okay. So that's a real thing. I hear this all the time. I see Baker Mayfield. That comes across as arrogant when Baker Mayfield says, I am infectious.
Let me ask you something, though. Of all the things and I heard what you played earlier.
Yeah.
Were any of those things not true?
There's a lot of things that aren't, there's a lot of actors that are good looking. You shouldn't notify the world you are.
Okay, that's fine. But I'm just saying, was anything that he said not true?
I don't think he's the most accurate by far. I think with that offensive line.
Okay, so maybe that was an indulgence.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That was an indulgence. Now,
that's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you. Hold on. In a job interview, you're being asked questions about yourself. Are you just going to be humble, or are you going to try to give?
Okay, ask me a question. You're interviewing, and I'm a young person off the street. Hey, hello, Mr. Klatt. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Very successful.
Pleasure's mine. Trust me on this side.
Beautiful hair. Go ahead, sir.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If I was hiring you as a radio host for my network, what type of host would I be getting?
I work really, really hard.
Yeah, everyone works hard. That's boring. Tell me something else.
I'm infectious.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Infectious.
In what way? Baker said.
In what way?
I'm infected, actually.
No, I don't want that.
I would say, what I've told everybody, I used to say this to my boss at the old place. If I leave here, you're losing the hardest working person you have in this industry. No. If you can live with that, that's fine. Because that comes across as, oh, hell, he's a giver, not a taker. I didn't say I was the best voice. I don't. I slur. I didn't say I know the most sports. I don't. Goulet knows more. I didn't say I was the smartest. I'm not. There's probably one guy on the planet smarter than me.
Was
but
there
I say that was I work harder.
I'm going to go back to infectious. Was there a player in college football that meant more to his team's mentality than Baker? I'm just saying.
Questions.
I'm just saying. Was it wrong? Was anything that he said wrong? It's factual about the balls batted down. So I don't think it matters about his
You
height.
can
He's
say
much taller than Russell Wilson. He's much taller than Drew Brees. I've stood next to them both. I mean, what he said was not wrong. You might dislike the way that he said it, but one man's, treasure is going to be another man's trash. There's some GM that was like, I love that about this kid.
Is that the unemployed GM you talk to?
No.
I feel like
No, it's
privately you can be a little more full of yourself because
Sure.
you sell yourself. But when you're on a podium,
Exactly.
dial it back a bit.
He's 2 years older than everybody, okay? But Darnold gave the better answer. Darnold's like, it's not my job to tell you who's number one. That's somebody else's job. That is a very mature response. Like to Kristine's point.
I don't disagree. I'm just telling you that you're going to harp on it as negative. Somebody out there loves it. Trust me, I talked with a couple of GMs that love that mentality. Love it.
I love that job interview.
Would you want, let's say you're John Elway.
He is a good interviewer. You ask good questions.
Let's
ask another one.
I don't want to. If you're John Elway and you just had Paxton Lynch, who would not go back into the game at Oakland, had no personality, locker room wouldn't follow.
Okay,
him.
but you're going the opposite
I'm just
way.
telling you, like, would you like a guy like Mayfield?
Listen, there's qualities.
Do you want your team to buy into the quarterback or not buy into the quarterback?
You're like saying, oh, so would you rather live in a floodplain or La Jolla? Well, that's obvious. Okay, you're giving me these options of, would you rather have Paxton Lynch who wouldn't go back in a game?
You think Baker Mayfield shouldn't be on your board, so you're telling me
I
he's
took
a
him off my
floodplain.
board.
So you're telling me he's a floodplain. I'm telling you, you're wrong.
Okay, he's not on my board.
That's crazy.
No, on my board, no police videos.
That's fine.
That's pretty good by me.
That's fine.
Nailed that interview.
There's no quarterback in this draft that owns the middle of the field like Baker Mayfield. And in the direction that the NFL is going towards RPOs, he's the best RPO thrower I've seen in 10 years.
All right. Oh, God, come on.
It's true.
All right. Hey, by the way, can we put up my mock draft?
Ugh.
What do you mean, ugh?
I mean, it's average.
By the way,
you have Rosen going to the Giants.
Because they're idiotic. They'll never have a number 2 pick.
Gosh, that's an arrogant statement. Like, he knows better than the Giants, right? Like,
hey,
he's
I'm not
sitting here
interviewing
telling
for a
America
job now. I'm just being a radio
Giants.
guy. You're going to tell me Carson Wentz.
Just that answer. It's just so arrogant. You know better than the Giants.
The next 10 years, you're going to face Carson Wentz 20 times.
I don't even know what Wentz is. Is he going to be healthy? Philadelphia is just going to send their Super Bowl winning quarterback Nick Foles and just
how many
send him out to
GMs?
pasture?
You know how many GMs in the NFL right now are
you
telling
have Denver taking Calvin Ridley
because Denver's going to get Kirk Cousins.
Are you sure about that?
Pretty.
They've had Demaryius Thomas, who's been a top 6, 7 wide receiver in the NFL.
The ball.
I'm just saying they already gave a wide receiver a lot of money. Why? Name one team in NFL history that their best offensive player won a Super Bowl and was a wide receiver.
We've got to go. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.